Alright gang, so in this lesson what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you through how to make a symmetrical airfoil. And again, you should have these all drawn out in your thumbnails. You should have all your thumbnails sketches completed. Make sure you take those over to your instructor, talk about your ideas, and then from there you'll go on and make your 3D rendering before you do any building, cutting, things like that with the styrofoam, the wooden dowel rods. So the actual fabrication will be held off until you actually are done with the design work, which we're going to look at today. So we're going to make an airfoil, and we're going to do the symmetrical. And I actually have one completed here in Inventor. We're going to use the Inventor software, and you can kind of see what this is going to look like when we're done. It does not actually take that long to complete this. But again, you do need to have some good sketches initially, so you have a good framework as we progress through the drawings. Alright, so the first thing that we're going to do is actually start a new one. Is you want to go into the application icon. We're going to go to new, and we're going to go to new standard IPT. We're creating a new part. And the general size, as we talked about the parameters, this cannot be any larger than 1 inch in height by 3 inches in length. And some other parameters. Again, I gave you certain constraints in regards to the overall length. Alright, you can't have it any less than 2 1/4 in the actual overall length, and I would recommend not having it the thickness of the airfoil any less than about 1/2 of an inch to 5/8. If it gets too thin, you're gonna have some issues when you drill your hole. So I usually like to max that out. I usually like to max out the 1 inch, but you can go 1/2 inch to 5/8 of an inch if you're looking for a real thinner type of airfoil as you go through your design work. Okay, so once we start that, we have a new part file. We're going to create a new sketch, and I like to create this sketch on this particular plane here. It's the XZ plane, so we'll select that. And what you're going to do is create a rectangle. So I'm going to select my rectangle tool. I'm going to go to my origin here, and I am going to draw a rectangle that is 3 inches in overall length. And I'm going to tab over, and one for the height. Double click my center mouse button to zoom out, and that's the general parameters, at least of the airfoil that I'm going to create, because I am going to max out that thickness of the airfoil. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do, because this is symmetrical, what I like to do is put a center line through here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. And on the left hand side, if you just drag your cursor down, I selected the line tool and I just drag my cursor down, you're going to get a green dot at the midpoint. And if you see on the X and the Y there, you can see how the Y says 0.5. So that's indicating that that is the midpoint. It's the halfway point there of 1, obviously. So I'm going to create just a guideline that breaks up that 2. So these are 2 symmetrical rectangles basically right here. And then I'm going to look at my design, all right? And this is really where you have to look at your thumbnail sketches and take that thumbnail sketch and now incorporate it onto the computer screen. So a couple of tools here that you're going to want to get familiar with is the arc tool here. You might use the circle tool, the spline tool. This is a great tool when we actually make the unsymmetrical airfoil. It's like a freeform drawing tool. Anytime you're wondering what the tool does, if you just drag your cursor over that tool, it will give you some a preview of what the tool does and things like that. All right. Initially, I'm going to use my line tool, and with the particular design that I have an arc going in the front, but I'm going to make a guideline first that's about 1 inch back from that top left-hand corner. And I'm going to go to my arc tool now. And I'm going to select this midpoint and then click on this other point that I just created. And I'm going to bend that around, again staying within those parameters. Alright, I'm going to do the same thing on the back side. So I'm just going to go to there, I'm going to come up, let's say 0.1, and I'm going to use another arc. Just put a gradual slope, let's say something like that, and I will cap this off here. And what I'm going to do, see if that line, there we go. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create what's known as a fillet. I'm going to round this over slightly. So I'm going to use my fillet tool. Alright, so my fillet tool is right over here. And you can change the radius of the fillet. Right now it's going to be at 0.125, which is 1/8 of an inch. And you're going to select the two lines that you want to fillet. So right now I'm going to select this line and that little line that we created right over here. Now make sure you have that small line segment in there, otherwise it's going to try to make a fillet to this larger line. And I just want to do that little line segment. And you see I round that out over, again, just to kind of make it a little bit more aerodynamic, make the air sweep across that a little bit better. And so right now we have the top half, the upper camber, okay, of the wing, the leading edge, the trailing edge, that's all done. You see the chord line for this particular airfoil is right through here, and we're going to basically mirror this, all right, and it's going to be symmetrical. So what we're going to do next is we're going to use our mirror tool. So I'm going to select the mirror tool, and I want this button to make sure that it is selected, and I'm going to select the different parts that I want to mirror. Okay, and then I'm going to select my mirror line. The mirror line is going to be this horizontal line. I'm going to apply that, and I have an exact duplicate on the other side. So this is a perfect, easy way to make that symmetrical airfoil. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to create a circle in here. And I want the circle to go somewhere on the front third, okay, and you should have that done in your thumbnails as well, the front third of the airfoil, okay, and this is going to be 3/16 of an inch circle. Now, again, I'm just going to create a guideline, and I'm just going to come back about 1 inch with my design. So right there is where I'm going to put my circle. Again, it's really up to you, you're the designer. 3/16 though, so we'll create that. And then the next thing after creating that circle is you're going to want to delete out all these unwanted lines that we have in here. Basically these construction lines, some of these dimensions and things, we can take those out. So what I'm going to do is I can just select those with my selection cursor. Again, I have no tool selected right now. If I just press escape, make sure I have no tool selected, and then I'll go ahead and select the dimensions and press delete and delete those out. With some of these line segments and things I want to take out, I can use what's called my trim tool. It's under modify in my modify panel, and I'll take those out of there. Delete all these items out. So I'm going to clean this up so it really looks like what my airfoil, that cross-sectional shape of my wing, will be. So all those construction lines, delete those out. Alright, and we're left with this. At this point in time, I'm going to finish the sketch. And you can see right now we have, in our browser window, we have one sketch. There's not multiple sketches here, there's just one sketch, and we have everything drawn within that one sketch. Now, I'm out of drawing mode now, or 2D mode, and I'm into 3D mode. What I'm going to do is I'm going to extrude this. I'm going to give it some depth. Now I'm going to extrude everything out here at a distance of 6 inches. So I'm going to go in here, make sure I have 6 inches, and I'm going to extrude this backwards. And I'm going to select both the hole and all the area. I'm going to select everything, and I'm going to click OK, and I'll show you why we're doing that here in a little bit. But we're going to make everything 6 inches, extrude that back, and now you can start really seeing your airfoil take shape. Now if you notice, that hole disappeared, and you're probably thinking, well, I'd put that hole in there so we could have the dowel rod. Well, we're going to put that in next. We need to show that hole again so we can extrude the dowel. To do that, we're not going to redraw the hole or anything. Over in your browser window, you could see sketch 1 disappeared. Now we have what's called extrusion 1. Extrusion 1 is a feature. The extrusion is a feature. So what we're going to do, right next to that extrusion, there's a little plus sign. I want you to click that plus, and you can see sketch 1 again. Now sketch 1's grayed out. Alright, so I'm going to right click on sketch 1. I'm going to show the visibility. Now we can see that circle again. So with that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click extrude, and I'm going to put in 5.5 or 5.5. I'm going to select now just the dowel, and I'm going to make sure it's going in the proper direction. This time I'm going to go, I want it to extrude out of the piece here, this direction. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to click OK. And the next thing would be to create a fillet and smooth this surface out, give it more of a finished look, and I can do that in my 3D rendering mode. And it has another fillet command right here. I can click on the fillet. Again, I can give it a particular radius. So if I want it to be 0.1 or 0.125, I can do that. If I even want it to be larger, you can. The only thing, let me show you, if you put in too large of a radius, let's say you want to make it 0.5, okay, and I select that surface, you can see how I get an error message. All right, with that error message, it's saying this, you can't make this surface a 1/2 inch radius, it's too much. Okay, so you're going to need to take that back a little bit, see if 0.1 works, see how that error message will leave there, and then you can continue to work through your piece. I'm going to do that to the other side as well. And check that off. Click on the home button. Alright, so now we have that nice round over to here. It looks pretty good. And we're going to go ahead and color this next. Okay, so with coloring it, what I'm going to do is just select my default colors. And the default's gray, so we're going to select that. We're going to change this to green. Alright, you can make it a palette. You can make it really whatever color you want. But there's several different colors through here. Some interesting colors and things associated here. But that's up to you. There's a light red. We'll go with that. Alright. So we're going to have the styrofoam one particular color. And the rod I would like you to make, that dowel rod, I would like you to make it to the actual, to a wooden color. Don't leave it just a default color. So how we change that is if you just select the dowel and all the different portions of that dowel rod, I'm going to hold shift and select the end there. You see how everything gets selected. Then I right click on it and I want to go to properties. Under properties, I can change the face appearance, and I can go to my different wood colors here. And you see I have a walnut, and I have white ash, and things like that. And yellow pine, we'll change it to yellow pine. There we go. So now we have more of that wood color. And I'm just going to go back to my home view here. And there you see. All right, so basically the symmetrical airfoil is completed at this point in time. You do need to make a unsymmetrical design. Again, both these will be graded for points. All right, and we're going to put these into a drawing file. Both of them you'll put into a drawing file. But make sure you have to get to this point and save them accordingly. All right, so I'm going to save this one as, I'll go up to the application icon and I'll go to save as, and this will be saved as symmetrical airfoil, and make sure you save that into your aviation folder and things like that, and do the same with the unsymmetrical. Okay, make sure you save those as inventor files. Alright, if you have any questions, ask a classmate or ask your instructor. Alright, and good luck.